And action. Welcome to another amazing episode of the Action Podcast. We are on episode 85, and today we're going to be talking about the movie Ferrari. Literally hot off the press. Just saw it. Got the early access screening here on a Wednesday night. Then we'll be watching Family Plan. That's on Apple TV Plus, starring Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
Then I'll be reviewing Anyone. I F that up.
And
Anyone. You know, the funny thing is I never got it right. Like, even when I was going to see it, I was like, I don't know idea what this.
anyone but you, right?
Anyone but you. Yeah. Anyone
Okay.
but you.
That's not very difficult to say.
It's not, but I
I'm
keep
just
wanting
saying.
to say like anything but you,
Right.
or I
Right.
just keep mixing the words up. Uh,
Anybody but you or
yeah.
us or whatever.
Anyone but you. Also saw an early access yesterday on that. That's coming out this weekend also. That stars Glen Powell of Top Gun Maverick fame, and also Sydney Sweeney of Euphoria fame. And then last we'll review Finest Hand. Is that right, Pete?
No, finest kind.
Finest Kind. I can't read my writing. Jeez. Part of the producer here,
And this,
huh?
an example of the finest hand.
Yeah.
But that's not the movie. It's finest kind.
Finest Kind. Finest Kind. So with
That's on
that,
Paramount Plus right now. You can watch it today.
yes, I'll probably watch it after this podcast. So that's how I'm
Fantastic.
looking forward to it. So anyways, so our first movie, Ferrari. So literally, I just saw this movie. This is directed by Michael Mann. If you know Michael Mann, he's probably most famous for Heat, but he's also done. Go ahead, Pete.
He did Last of the Mohicans. He did Collateral. He did
Yes,
Ali. He did The Insider, which is a sneaky good movie as well.
that is.
Michael Mann has a very specific storytelling style and directing style.
Yes.
Um, he's not for everybody, but he has a huge audience and a huge following.
Yeah,
So
sure.
there's a lot of anticipation for this film. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, this is honestly like you want to talk about the Oscar
Oh, and
contenders.
Public
Enemy
Enemies.
with Johnny
You
Depp.
had problems
I
talking.
never finished that movie. I still need to see that movie.
That's Johnny Depp. It's a burn. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
why I didn't finish it. It took forever because
But
I
it's
love
good.
the subject. That's
It,
Dillinger, right? John Dillinger.
exactly. Michael Mann, Johnny Depp. You can't go wrong. It's a slow burn. You just got to grind through it, like with most of his movies. But
Yeah.
go on, please.
So Ferrari is one of these films that gets released in December, and typically the reason why is this film is expected to, you know, get the nominations and
Right.
be there during the award season, right? This is a award season darling, and I
We've
think,
already
oh,
seen a little bit in the Golden Globes, a little bit.
yeah. Oh, I didn't even check it out. I need to check it out. But I'll tell you what, I definitely think this film will be nominated for a lot of things. I enjoyed the movie, but kind of like what you just said with Michael Mann, this falls 100% in line with how Michael Mann makes a film. And what do I mean by that? Well, you're going to have some of the most amazing scenes you'll watch. Some of the racing scenes are incredible. There's a couple scenes that literally like blew my mind. Like my mouth was agape, and I was just like, wow, like what just happened? But then there's other scenes you're just like, why is this scene in the movie? Why is this movie long? The, with an editor, this movie is 90 minutes and it's so tight and awesome. And you're just like, this is the best movie ever. But I think
Right.
that about literally every single Michael Mann film. Maybe, honestly, Last of the Mohicans is maybe the only one where I didn't 100% feel like it needed a huge slashing job. But I know for sure Heat, I felt that way. There's a scene in Heat where, his Al Pacino's daughter tries to commit suicide, and it's at the end. And it's like it's already going down a certain path, and you're like, why is this scene in here? Just distracts from the actual story. And he tends to do that. And I like a lot about like what the story is about. And it's basically about Enzo Ferrari, about him trying to ultimately save the company, about racing, Ferrari racing, and then also like his family life and how that's going to ultimately affect the company. And so I like the story and I think it worked. Um,
Yeah,
But
but
there's
I
a
mean,
part of me that thinks Vinny Chase's Ferrari from Entourage would have been better.
right. But I mean, there is something to be said about, Michael Mann and his style. Like one movie and then a second movie. But then when you start to get to that third or the fourth or the fifth movie, you start to understand that this person has um, a specific vision, right? And a way that in the same way that James Cameron has an idea about how he wants to present Avatar to us. Like nobody agrees typically with how he wants to portray Avatar, especially in the manner that he did numbers two and then eventually number three, right? Like people always have something to say. However, we have to expect a certain something from Michael Mann in terms of his storytelling that I think that this movie, if you understand Michael Mann, you will enjoy, and you can get through those little
Yeah,
patches.
yeah, I agree with that.
Um,
I mean, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. To be very clear, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well, but I didn't
I like Ford versus Ferrari
love
better.
it. I
Yeah, I
didn't
didn't love
love
it.
it. I didn't. Here's the craziest thing about this film. Um, like first of all, I love when a movie is based in a location, like for instance, this movie's Italy. They have Italian actors and actresses, which I love. I love when movies do that. So first of all, I love when they do that. Um,
Yeah, by the way, I do want, yes, I want to couple them in the fact that they used English accents. So one of my biggest critique with like Ridley Scott, for example, is like, what did we just watch with France? Napoleon. Everybody had English accents versus like you guys couldn't do a French accent. Like, aren't you actors?
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, like it's
that's
kind of
like
job requirement. Like, and by the way, the French accent's like the easiest of all the accents.
But that's like being mad at Bryan Cranston for playing the paraplegic in that one movie with Kevin Hart. Like, because you're an actor, like, right? Like,
Yeah.
you're an actor. Come
No,
on.
but again, I did appreciate like I thought Adam Driver's accent was solid. Like
I think,
Penelope Cruz, I thought had a great accent. She's Spanish.
no,
You pro
that's,
you probably know better than me, but I thought for an American guy that I thought their accents worked. The only one that I thought was a little rough was Shailene Woodley.
well, she had no accent at all.
You know, she did. It's this very subtle.
No, no, it was bad. But here, and to your point, and this is what I was going to say, and I'm glad that you sort of hit on it, was that I'm
What I want to
really
do.
I was kind of torn by this film because on the one hand, like I really loved the performances, but I almost wanted less of them to see more of the racing aspect of the film
One
itself.
million bajillion percent. I wanted 100%
Um,
more.
Adam Driver was solid as an Italian. Like he did a really decent job as an Italian. He should definitely be an Oscar contender for sure. He probably won't
He's
get
not gonna win.
nominated,
Mm,
but if he does, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of great performances this
there
year.
is. There is. I agree with you. I don't know if he's gonna get it, but
Penelope Cruz, I've never been a fan. Best performance of her career ever. Um,
it's up there for sure. I don't know if I'm gonna say of her career, but I thought
not,
it was fantastic.
what's a better performance from her ever?
Again, I have to think about it. She's had a very good career, so it's
Think
like I don't
about
want
it. Comment below.
yeah, I
This
don't
is her
want to make
best
an outrageous
performance.
statement.
This is a Spanish girl.
Yeah,
Um,
pure Spain.
who
Like, yeah, pure Spain.
with always she always performed with an accent, but in this movie, it's not about the accent. I didn't even give a shit about the accent. I didn't even notice whether or not she had an accent or not. It was her portrayal of this this absolutely crushed woman who was just holding on and then
But also vindictive too.
but then found out something really awful about what her husband was doing and
Yeah,
also had to have the strength to kind of carry on because
I was. You
she
might be right.
actually knew what the overall arc of the family Ferrari was
Yeah.
supposed to be about. Like she knew it,
Mhm.
and her portrayal, I think, was stellar.
No, I
Um,
agree. I definitely think she
Penelope
had the
Cruz
best
was
performance.
fantastic.
Yeah.
She was absolutely fantastic.
I,
So there
I
was
I
so
would
many.
I would akin her performance only especially because you're dealing with someone we know with a certain accent and then to have a different accent. It would be Anna de Armas in Blonde, where she did such a great job of not just acting, but then also like it didn't her performance really just came through and it wasn't a distraction at all. Like I think that's really good acting, you know? And again, she had to learn an Italian
Yeah,
accent.
but I mean, she went from South American to or Latina to
Cuban,
white.
but not South
You
American.
know, going from, Penelope Cruz to Italian is not a big stretch in terms of linguistics, right?
No,
Because
no, no,
it's
100%.
Latin based, and
Yeah, Spain to Italy is easy.
so it's
Well,
more
I'm not
about
gonna say easy, but
it's more about what she did with the character, and that's a nod to the writing and to Michael Mann himself. But
yeah.
I think that what she did was absolutely incredible. I mean, there was certainly a
See
lot of
her winning
tension.
Best Actress. I could see her winning Best Actress.
If she won Best Actress, I wouldn't be upset, although it's not going to happen. But if it happened, I wouldn't be upset. There was certainly a lot of tension throughout this film, which I appreciated, and you saw a lot of it, and it paid off at very specific moments, and they were opportune. Um, but man, the ending, what an intense ending! Oh my gosh, we're not going to spoil it for you, but
Yeah, it's
just get through this movie because the performances alone will drive you through. They will Adam Driver you through this movie into
it's
the end,
yeah.
um, where
We won't
things are
spoil her
really
because the movie hasn't come out yet.
they're really going to kind of come to a head. It's a slow burn. I think it's a well performed movie. I think it's one of the
Not
best
super slow though.
performed
It's not
movie.
super slow burn. It's not a super slow burn.
It's not super slow, but I mean, you've got to grind through this movie a little bit.
A little bit of grinding, yeah.
A little bit of grinding. But
There's
the
another
payoff, I think,
part.
is really well because of the performances.
There's another part. There is other parts of the ending too. I think are a little incoherent for me. I don't really want to get into them too much, just because again, like we're kind of ahead of the game.
Right? Are we spoiling right now? We don't want to spoil, right?
No, 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 no. We're definitely not spoiling. Well, I'll say what I have to
Let's
say.
not
So,
spoil. Let's not spoil.
no, no, no. I will say just spoiler. Like, don't watch this part if you don't want to hear anything. So, spoiler, just in case. But I just had it. I just thought there was some connectivity issues when it came to like the Maserati storyline. I just felt like it kind of like they just like
So
eliminated,
small. Yeah.
and it just was like, okay, what happened? And then I don't know. I just thought that could have been
That
like
was
a little bit better done.
again to my point about the I wish I would have seen more versus this.
Yeah,
That's another aspect that is very interesting that you bring up because that is very much I want to understand more about Maserati versus Ferrari.
yeah.
That aspect, you don't even get you only get like a little pepper
'Cause
or two.
to me that was like the true villain in a way, and they
Yeah,
didn't really make it the villain, and it was weird. Again, I think that's the incoherent.
it's almost like they gave you villains, but then they kind of take you away, and then they give you villains, and then all of a sudden Maserati's there, and then yeah, it's bizarre. It's
I actually
but
thought I
fantastic.
actually thought the ending. Not a big fan of the ending. So there's the end of the second
It's
act.
quick,
I thought was great. And the second act I thought was like absolutely amazing, which is again Michael Mann to a T. And then
right?
the ending, you're just like, uh, okay,
The ending is like, and there's the ending, and you're
yeah.
like, oh, um, okay, are we done?
I'll give
Shoot.
you even a better one. I'll give you a better one. Hey, Michael. We need that script in like 30 minutes. Oh shit. Okay, I haven't come up with an idiot. Hold on.
One sec.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm done. Yeah. It's like, let me end this. Let me end it now.
It
Okay.
is. He walks
Yeah.
to whatever.
I just the ending just seemed I was like, oh, all right, I guess that's okay. I
Yeah. However, if you want to see, um,
was like, I didn't need the dressing scene of him getting ready to go to somewhere. Like, thanks for that scene.
sure, but if you want to see really amazing cinematography and directing and camera angles and
Sound
beautiful
design, sound design was excellent.
sound design was great, beautiful performances. Adam Driver's amazing. Penelope Cruz, best ever that
Yeah,
she's ever done. Um, then you should absolutely see this film.
yeah,
It got a 6.7. I would give it a 7.
yeah. I'd agree.
I would give it that extra 3 points just to give it a 7 because it is a really great film
A lot of greatness in
for
it. Yeah,
performances.
yeah, I agree. I agree. So definitely check it out.
Oscar contender for sure.
Yes, which again, so if you're into seeing the Oscar contenders, yeah, I highly recommend with that. But in
Right.
general, I think it's worth it. It's not too long. Like I said, it's only 220, which means it's about 210 ish. It would include credits and all that
The
stuff.
credits. Yeah.
So, yeah, so check it out, guys. So let's move on to Pete, our next one, which is Family Plan, and
Right.
that is starring Mark Wahlberg, and
Mark
that's on
Wahlberg
Apple
and
TV Plus,
and Michelle Moynihan,
right?
who is one of the more underrated, beautiful women in Hollywood. She's gorgeous. I think she's one of the more gorgeous women I've ever seen.
She's solid. Yeah, she's solid.
She's cute.
So go ahead, it's your review, buddy.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah,
Uh,
I
Apple
didn't finish
Plus.
seeing this one, so I'm gonna.
Sorry, Apple Plus. Okay, here's the tagline. A former top assassin living incognito as a suburban dad must take his unsuspecting family on the run when his past catches up on him. So let's preface this by
Before you
saying,
get into it, you want to hear a fun fact? So
go ahead.
I had planned to watch this on the plane ride home, but the Eagles game, Eagles Seahawks game, was playing while my flight was on, and it's the fantasy football playoffs, and I had the kicker on Seattle and Devontae Smith on Eagles. So I was like, I had it, and I was like losing by like 6 points or something like that. So I needed to literally watch this to see if I made the playoffs. So that's ultimately why I didn't finish.
Well,
See,
and I had nobody in my fantasy team in that game, so I was able to perform this task for our audience and really kind of take one for the team. So, Team Peter all the way. So, the family plan, Apple Plus. Apple has consistently given us great storytelling. And what I mean by that is that they just know how to tell stories. They set things up properly. The things they set up are paid off at the end, and then the journey itself is always really solid, at least very good, right? And this is another example of great storytelling. However, it's done in more of a fun, more unbelievable sense, right? It's a guy who is supposed to not be an assassin, even though he is. And the whole movie really is about him trying to pretend that nothing's going on around him, even though people are trying to kill all of them. And so there is a lot of fun in this movie. And Paul and I were talking about this earlier. There certainly could have been a lot more comedy. However, um, I think at the end of the day that this is a really good fun family watch as long as the kids are above 7 or 8, I would say.
yeah.
Um, it's fun. It's a fun movie. There's nothing really a lot risque about this movie. It's
There's nothing
fun.
I saw so far.
Yeah, it's a fun time. Mark Wahlberg is Mark Wahlberg. He did a fine job. But I agree with you, Paul. I think that the only downside of this movie is that it could have absolutely been funnier. It absolutely could have done with like a good comedy pass on the script, and
Yeah,
then it would have been the perfect movie because it's a good premise.
yeah,
And the way they execute it is it's ridiculous, but it's fun.
yeah.
It's exactly what it's great popcorn movie material.
Like I
Uh,
almost would have preferred Mark Wahlberg. Again, I haven't seen all of it. I only seen about 30 minutes of it. But I almost would have preferred like a what was the movie he did with Will Ferrell? The other
Other
guy.
guys.
Yeah, but I really like Mark
Will
Wahlberg in that. And I
I
just
love
feel
Mark.
like that kind of character, like that kind of like over exaggeration of like emotions and stuff like that. I don't know. I felt like that would have played well into this film. Instead of him, like he almost just played it straight. And it's just like, all right. Like, but they needed somebody to like really carry the comedy. And again, that's also not um Michelle Moynihan, not Moynihan. Am I saying it?
That's Monahan.
Moynihan, okay. I mean, again, that's also not her strength, right? So I just feel like they
No,
needed
but
somebody to really, or one of the kids, like, and just go with it, right? The kids were so hilarious, but these kids
right.
weren't funny at all. You know what I mean? And I just felt like, am I watching a comedy or am I watching an action film?
Well, I mean, okay, but I will say in
Again, I haven't
defense
seen it all, so I do need to kind of reserve
in
my.
defense of the kids, like the older son and his gaming obsession and his secretive gaming obsession because he's
Yeah.
hiding it from his parents pays off because when, they go to bed.
I don't tell me. I mean, I figured it's all gonna play out,
Okay, but
but
again, like I was saying at the beginning, the
I
storylines
just feel
play
like there
out.
needs to be more comedy somehow. I feel like this is an action comedy
There
without the
should
comedy.
be comedy. There should be more comedy for sure.
Could
Certainly a
be.
lot more slapstick. Now, in terms of the other guys, side note, I'm not sure if I'm more of a fan of the other guys, the movie, or the other guys, the outtakes, because the outtakes
Oh my
are the
goodness.
funniest things I think I've ever seen. The movie is good, but the outtakes are absolutely
No, the movie's great. Dude, The Other Guys is such a brilliant, brilliant film.
so good.
Anytime when
It's a
you
sneaky good movie. Nobody talks about that movie ever.
but you recruit Samuel L. Jackson, who is on
The
like
Rock,
top of the world, and then The Rock, really before he's even The Rock,
right?
to do these roles, and then you kill him off in the first 10
It's
minutes.
5 minutes, 10 minutes of the
It's
movie.
so good. And then your title comes up, the other guys. Like it's just such a great setup.
So
That,
good.
that's Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, like their prime, you know.
It's so good.
Awesome.
My
So
my
so
wife
check it
hates
out,
that
guys.
movie,
I'm gonna finish checking it out myself. Our next movie, Anyone But You. So
and it's all you, Paul.
yeah, this is an R-rated comedy. So again, this comes out this weekend, so you can check this out for yourself. This does not, of course, have a rating, but this is directed by Will Gluck, and you do probably know Will Gluck. He is a writer director, but he also has directed Peter Rabbit, which I love, by the way. That might be a shocker to many, but I'm a big fan of Peter Rabbit, and so he wrote and directed that. Also did Friends with Benefit, Easy A, Annie, the new Annie, the Michael J.
But
Fox.
Friends with Benefits, Easy A, those are solid movies.
Yeah, so Will Gluck is very good at what he does. So he's the director at the helm,
It's an
and
unfortunate name.
I think he does a great job.
Right?
Glen Powell, I'll tell you what, man, this guy, there's like a part of me thinks like, man, do I like him? Do I not? But I do like him. I like him in everything he's done so far. And I think this guy's star meter, because at first you just look at him and he's like, oh, he's that guy, he's that actor, right? But he's really not. I think he's got a lot of substance to him. I think he's an actually really good actor, and I think he's got more. He's obviously he's still very new, I think, in his stardom, and I think he's gonna have a second kind of side of his career where he'll do more darker roles. Like right now, he's still like the handsome, you know, kind of lead, if you will. But I feel like this guy's got a lot of acting chops, and I feel like there's going to be a whole nother career where he can do a lot more. You know, where he's just not smiling all the time because he's just charming. He's a really charming guy. He's funny, um, and of course ripped. Uh, I like what I like about this movie is it's a rated R movie, and you know it's got the
Love.
language. There's nudity in this film, but they use the nudity in humor. There's some really funny scenes in this movie that work, and you laugh out loud, and then just the romantic comedy aspect of it, I thought worked.
Right.
I think this is a great date movie. But you know, it's got a kind of a you almost think in the beginning of the movie it's got a predictable storyline, but it doesn't really. It kind of goes in a lot of different directions, and you don't really know. Like it keeps kind of switching on you in a way, and I like that. It's to me it seems like a very fresh idea.
Sure.
And then what I ultimately love about it too is you mentioned it earlier with Ferrari and being like in Italy. This is set in Australia. And so just to kind of be in this different environment in Australia, romantic comedy, I think that, it's almost like an Adam Sandler kind of model. And I love it. I think it's, again, another great little side twist that
Right.
this film.
Now,
So,
I know nothing about this movie. I've only seen the poster for it with these two
yeah.
absolutely gorgeous people
Yeah.
standing face to face. And that's all I know about this movie. Are they as perfect as they're portrayed in the poster? Because
No.
what they're
So
saying that these are
let
the
me read
two
the
most
synopsis because
gorgeous
I didn't.
people.
Yeah, so let me read the synopsis because like even I didn't read the synopsis going in. I just watched it.
You just
Uh,
watched it. What's the synopsis?
the synopsis is after an amazing first date, B and Ben's fiery attraction turns ice cold until they find themselves unexpectedly reunited at a destination wedding in
Mm,
Australia. Sorry, it turned pages. So they do what any two mature adults would do, pretend to be a couple. So that's where kind of like the hijinks come is
sure.
there's an attraction there, but then there's
And
not.
then you can
And
kind of
yeah,
see where it's going to head.
and they introduce characters. The side characters are funny. Dermot Mulroney's in this.
Oh, he's great. I love
Yeah,
him.
he's awesome. There's a guy, I don't know what he was from. He's like the friend. Alexander Ship is in this, who I love, and she's great.
Hmm.
His name is Gata. What has he done? Oh, he's known for Dave. Dave's a very funny show, and I think his name's Gata in that. He's in House Party. I mean, I don't know much about him, but I mean, his name is Gata, which I don't know if it doesn't look like he's a musician or anything, but he's funny. He was funny in this. I think it was kind of rough in the beginning, but then like he's really funny towards he really picks up steam throughout the movie. It's got a great character. There's an there's an Australian guy too that does a good job. He was in
Hugh Jackman.
no, it wasn't Hugh Jackman. He was in what was the movie? Oh, Brian Brown is his name. He was in Cocktail. That's what you'd know him. He's the other
Oh,
bartender in
God.
Cocktail.
Jesus.
Um, there's
Cocktail.
there's some other stuff he's been in, but this guy, you know
It's
this
an
guy.
amazing, it's an amazing actor from 40 years ago. He's so
No,
good
there's other stuff he's
in
in, but
this movie.
no, but he's like the dad. But yeah, there's a lot of like it's funny. It's a good funny romantic comedy. Honestly, I'm trying to think of another like romantic comedy I've seen in the last couple years that I think this is one of the better ones.
Yeah, I mean,
I
like,
really enjoyed it. Honestly, I'd watch it again. I mean, like definitely when it comes out on streaming, I'll watch it again. I may go see it in theaters again. I don't know, but I enjoyed it. It was just a fun ride. So highly recommend it.
excellent. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's good. And next we have the finest kind, not hand, finest kind.
God, man, the finest hand.
I
Yeah,
can't
the
think of
finest
the
kind you could find right now on Paramount Plus. And I was only interested in this movie because it's not stars, but kind of stars Ben Foster, who, for
we love.
me, like I've said in this podcast a million times, Ben Foster's my dude. This
Yeah.
guy's the best actor I think I've ever seen in my life. He can do everything. Um,
What's your
and
favorite
so
movie with him?
um, let's do that on our next podcast. Let me prepare for that because don't put me on the spot with that one. Because I would go with the boxing one that he did, the Nazi boxing camp one, because that one just absolutely blew my mind. But I want to actually give you a proper answer.
I would go Alpha Dog or Lone Survivor.
No, I wouldn't even do either of those two. So that's why I think that's a great question. A Ben Foster top five is brilliant,
Yeah, we'll do that for another.
but
Yeah.
that can't be impromptu. I gotta put thought into it.
Well, that's part of the podcast game, Pete,
No,
is I throw you something and you deal with it.
no, you can't do that. You can't do that to me. Not with Benny Foster, my pal. So this movie's directed by Brian Helgeland, who you've known from Legend, the Tom Hardy movie about the Cray brothers, and 42. Brilliant director, really good. So Ben Foster's in this. Tommy Lee Jones. Uh, there's this new kid who I don't know who he is, and correct me if I'm wrong if you know him. Toby Wallace, who really did a great job. Jenna Ortega, who you know from Wednesday, the main star of Wednesday. Here's
Yeah,
the
the new season.
premise. A crew of fishermen tread dangerous waters when their debts start piling up. So the the gist of this movie is that this kid,
By the way, by the way, I don't want to sell short on who Brian Helgeland is. He's also wrote Mystic River, which was directed by Clint
Sean
Eastwood.
Sean Penn,
Yeah, Man on Fire. So
awesome.
also The Postman, which I actually really like The Postman. I saw
You
the
love Postman
premiere,
with Kevin Costner.
and he wrote L.A. Confidential. So
This is
Brian, one of my favorite movies.
outside of Back to the Future, might be the most perfect script ever.
I would not argue that at all. I think it's one of the best scripts of all time. But
What's
you get
better than those two,
this
right?
guy is a beast. His directing career is solid, but not as good as his writing career. Only because I think he's a goat in terms of a writer in our generation. Like,
He he certainly delivers in terms of the storytelling of this film. Tommy Lee Jones is excellent, and in Tommy Lee Jones's later years, we've seen him. We just saw him in that movie with Jamie Foxx recently. Shoot, and it's what was the name of that one? It just came out.
yeah,
Either way,
I got you. I'll look it up right now.
he his performance in that and his
The
performance in
Burial.
this,
The Burial.
The Burial. Thank you. We're seeing sort of the end of Tommy Lee Jones, and we're watching him progress through his life, and we're seeing the end of it. And he is as brilliant as I've ever seen him. Even like back in the Fugitive days, you know what I mean? Like there was a period of time where we didn't see Tommy Lee Jones, but now we're seeing a resurgence of him, and he has really embraced this sort of older, sort of frail version of
It's like Clint
himself.
Eastwood. Yeah, he's doing
It's
kind of what Clint Eastwood has done.
and I'm really kind of curious, is he really like that in real life? Are we really watching the end of his life? Because that's what his characters recently are portraying. And it's but if it's not, then he's even more brilliant than I've ever imagined him to be because he plays a dying man better than I think I've ever
Well, he's
seen.
not actually that old. He's only 77.
Right. So basically this
He's not
movie,
that old. I mean, he's literally almost our parents' age. So
right. But his performance is brilliant. He plays a certain dying old man like really well. Um, so these two brothers who are finally reunited go out and do some fishing, and the one kid is um, going to be a lawyer. He's been accepted to a law school. He doesn't need this, even though he wants to sort of experience this sort of lifestyle. However, they do some things they shouldn't have done. They get into some trouble. They need money really fast, and so they try to go the quick and easy route. Um, and so things start getting really tense. And so for the majority of the movie, things are kind of really good, and you're with it. Um, by the end of it, it gets a little hokey, not like hokey like clown and stupid, but you know, things start to get resolved really fast, right? And so, however, there's a sneaky great character named Tim Daly, who I had to look up, but he's from a show called Wings that we grew up with, and I didn't recognize him, but I knew the voice, and it stuck with me until the end of the movie when I finally looked it up. He plays the dad of one of the kids. and he has a great role throughout the movie, even though it's peppered through the movie. And he does a great job. This got a 6, I believe, on IMDb, which is
Yeah,
accurate.
5.8, which
5.8.
is a
I
little low.
would
But
give it
I
a
don't think it has a
6.
ton of reviews though, so keep that in mind.
I would give it a 6. I would even push that a little further because, yes, as hokey and as quick as it's resolved at the end, I think that the journey is intense enough and you love the characters enough that it really does make it worthwhile. And the fact that you can watch it on Paramount Plus right now for nothing um, tells me that you should watch this movie today. Ben Foster is the greatest actor of our generation, so you should watch it immediately. And Tommy Lee Jones is, he's not going to be with us much longer, and you should appreciate what he just did in this movie because it's magnificent. Jenna Ortega, take it for what it is. But Foster, Lee Jones, let's do this. Paramount Plus,
Awesome.
crushing.
Awesome. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for us this week, guys. Again, we tried to knock this one out because we wanted to try and get you guys as many movies ahead of the Christmas times, help you figure out what to watch. So that's always the point of
A
this.
lot coming up though.
Lot coming up. Next week, we still have tomorrow, actually, I'm going to be seeing, or today when this podcast comes out. Aquaman 2 will be coming out, so I'm going to be checking that out. Boys in the Boat, George Clooney's new film, also coming out this weekend. The Color Purple, the new remake, will also we still have that on tap. Memory, which stars Jessica Chastain.
Hmm.
Zone of Interest, and then lastly, Fast Charlie. We should be able to get that one in as well. So we still got 6
Do our
movies
best.
on tap, guys. So we're, action podcast never stops. Always bringing the heat. That's what we do. But thank you guys for watching. Again, make sure you check out our other podcast, Paul's Old Time Movie Classics. I keep changing the name up. I think it's Paul's Movie Classic is the actual name. But we've watched Great Wattle Pepper, Marathon Man, and then we'll be doing El Dorado, which is John Wayne film. That's going to be coming out I think it comes out Friday is when I'll release it.
Sadly, I will not be a part of. I'm sorry, audience.
Now, but me and Drew will be reviewing that.
Drew's gonna crush with Paul.
And then make sure also check out our movie news podcast, which will be coming out. Oh, that's coming out Friday. We'll be talking a lot of new news coming out, a lot of big stuff happening, and so we'll be discussing that. And then obviously just keep tuning in for all that. Please like, share, subscribe, comment below. If you guys have seen these movies, please want to hear your opinion. Do you agree with us? Do you hate us? Do you like us? Let us know. But we
Let's
appreciate
argue. I love it, a good argument.
Yeah. Thank you. And with that, Pete, that is a cut. Thanks, guys.